Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Rachel King. I'm an associate professor in the English department, I work mainly on 18th century British literature, and particularly the history of news and newspapers and letters. And today I'm going to be talking about this this book, Gilbert White's The Natural History of Selborne, which has really it's something I've been reading. Actually, you can see I'm not fully done with it. But it's been really resonating with me in this quarantine pandemic moment, and I'll talk about why. So, this book is written by Gilbert White. He was the curate in a town called Selborne, which is where he had grown up, and he was an heir and a landowner. He owned a large house there. So he didn't really need to work for money, which was nice for him. And he got to dedicate his life to his true love, which was being a naturalist. So what he really spent many years of his life doing was just going out into the area around Selborne and observing its flora and fauna. And he kept very detailed notes and collections of what he had observed. He did this for years, and he also was in these networks of correspondence with other naturalists who did similar things in other places. And so he would write to them and tell them what he had been observing in Selborne, and they would tell him about their locations. And he would also ask them questions about what things were like where they lived, and did particular birds migrate there. What could he learn about Selborne from these other locations as well? And so I think what is so interesting about this book, so eventually, after being in these epistolary networks for decades, in the 1789, he published a series of excerpts of the letters that he had exchanged, and that's what makes up The Natural History of Selborne. This book has never been out of print since 1789, which is kind of amazing. And it's sort of counterintuitive, right? Like, why would we still want to read these very particular details about this one village of Selborne? And I think that why it's still so readable is that it's so immersive. He really pulls you into his love of nature, and into the relationship he has with nature. That it's scientific the way he observes things, but it's also both so personal and embodied. And he's so attentive to these very minute details, particularly of the birds that live in the area. What do they look like when they're born? At what age do the males and females start to differentiate in terms of their coloring? What do they eat? Do they sing on the wing, or do they sing on the branch? How do they drink? What color are their eggs? How many eggs do they lay? All these kinds of details he's just so intimately familiar with, and they're so important to him. And I think that's what's really wonderful. I'm not myself a birder. This is not something that I do as a hobby, although I love being out in nature. I love outdoorsy activities. I've never done this kind of naturalist thing. But he really shows you why it would be so enjoyable. And as you're reading, you start to anticipate as you go through the years that you anticipate the turn of the seasons, right? So that he's going to talk about the same birds coming back, and he'll note, what day that year did the swift appear? What did it song? When did it start singing that year? And so he's, you sort of get into this rhythm of the year with him. And I think that's why it seems so evocative now that we, in a lot of ways, have had to slow down a bit and just be in one location, and really get to know that place. We may have thought we knew Santa Barbara or Goleta or our hometowns very well, but actually that's something that I've noticed during this period, that I feel like I have gotten to know Santa Barbara a lot better, actually, just from really needing to be in this place. And so I just wanted to talk about a couple moments that really, that you can see this kind of intimate relationship he has with the non-human animals he interacts with the places, and the way that these interactions are history for him, right? They kind of structure his life. So this is from a letter in 1767. He's talking about different kind of birds. He says, "The last swift I observed was about the 21st of August. It was a straggler. Redstarts, flycatchers, white throats, and reguli non-cristati still appear, but I have seen no blackcaps lately. I forgot to mention that I once saw, in Christ Church College quadrangle in Oxford, on a very sunny, warm morning, a house martin flying about and settling on the parapets so late as the 20th of November. So this is many years after he has been an undergraduate at Christ Church, but he remembers this one house martin that he observed so late as the 20th of November. And so, I just think it's so wonderful how he recollects those details and how significant they are for him. And then this is in the same letter, another passage where he gets onto the topic of bats. He says, "I was much entertained last summer with a tame bat, which would take flies out of a person's hand. If you gave it anything to eat, it brought its wings round before the mouth, hovering and hiding its head in the manner of birds of prey when they feed. The adroitness it showed in shearing off the wings of the flies, which were always rejected, was worthy of observation and pleased me much." And I just love here this sort of other view of bats that he gives us, right? I think that we see them as sort of creepy, obviously. I don't know if you've ever been in a room with a bat. I remember one time in my childhood home, a bat got inside and sort of like it swoops around at you. It's really kind of scary. But here, he's talking, he sort of zooms in on the bat, right? And we see the bat very delicately, carefully taking the wings off of the flies it's eating and rejecting the wings. It doesn't want to eat the wings. It only wants the body of the fly. And that he closed, "This pleased me much." It's just, I think, he has this different way of relating to the natural world that it seems strange at first, but really is really attractive, actually, as you get into it. So, I think another thing that I've really enjoyed about this book, during this period is its epistolary structure, right? So that it's written as a series of letters. And you can just, first of all, you get a sense of the personal relationship he has with these two people, Thomas Pennant and Daines Barrington, who he's writing to. But also, each letter is 2 to 3 pages long. You can sort of read a couple letters and I've been doing that before bed, and it's just this way to sort of really relax, think about the natural world, think about our place in it, and just sort of shift mindsets before trying to go to sleep. And I know a lot of us are struggling with sleep right now and sort of racing minds and all the different things to worry about. And this has been a way to a sort of palate cleanser before trying to go to sleep. So again, this is the book Natural History of Selborne, Gilbert White, and I've really enjoyed talking about it. Thank you.